The race for the New Year's Six bowl bid for the non-Power 5 groups is extremely tight. Let's go. What's going on, everybody? It's me again, Golden Blue Dude, and if you haven't already, go ahead, hit the like and subscribe button. I do college football videos every single day, so whether you agree with me, want to trash talk me, or want to trash talk with me, I think you'll enjoy this channel. This is the most interesting race for the New Year's Six bid for the non-Power 5 groups, and a lot of people don't know this. They only get one bid, and it's the highest ranked champion from a non-Power 5 conference. And this year it's extremely tight. The teams that are still in the mix: Cincinnati, BYU, Coastal Carolina, Marshall, SMU, and Liberty. Boise State got knocked out on Friday night. I will say this, two of these teams have an outside chance of making the playoffs, and that's Cincinnati and BYU. I've already done their playoff paths on a different video, so go check that out. So if they reach the playoffs, then the next highest would get the New Year's Six bowl bid. Liberty and BYU got some massive wins this week for that bowl bid. Number 25 Liberty went on the road and beat Virginia Tech in a wild game. Basically, it was two dual threat quarterbacks trying to outdo each other. First, we have Liberty's Malik Willis. He was 20 for 30, 217 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Ran the ball 19 times for 108 yards and 1 touchdown. Then Virginia Tech's quarterback Hendon Hooker, 20 for 27, 217 yards, 3 touchdowns. Exactly the same stats. He rushed for 20 carries, 156 yards, and 1 touchdown. But a crazy timeout that negated a blocked field goal for a score for Virginia Tech gave Liberty a second chance, and they hit it, and that was the ball game. That was a crazy game to watch. Liberty is now 7-0. If they go undefeated, they would have wins at Syracuse, at Virginia Tech, at NC State, and at Coastal Carolina. That's a big game at the end of the year, but they would still have to play in the Sun Belt championship game, probably against Coastal Carolina again. BYU had a big game. They do not have a conference championship because they're an independent, but they went on the road and beat 21st ranked Boise State, obliterated them. BYU's number 9. They have an outside chance to make the playoffs. They need some things to happen, but they look pretty good. They won 51-17 on the blue turf. Quarterback Zach Wilson. This guy is a legit Heisman contender. 21 for 27, 359 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And their running back, Tyler Algier, had 19 carries for 123 yards and 2 touchdowns. BYU had 573 offensive yards. So BYU is at the very top of the non-Power 5s to get the New Year's Six bowl bid and an outside chance of making the playoffs. Along with them is Cincinnati. So those two teams I'm keeping an eye on. They do have paths to the playoffs. I explained that in the other video. So this is about the New Year's Six path. Coming in today, all but one of these teams were undefeated. And the only team that had one loss was number 18 SMU. And that was to Cincinnati. And I think SMU will get another crack at Cincinnati. So that's why they're not out of this New Year's Six bowl bid race. What's left for these teams? Well, number 6, Cincinnati. Today they're playing Houston. Then they get East Carolina at home. And then 3 road games. At UCF, at Temple, and at Tulsa. And then, of course, the AAC championship game where they'll probably have to beat SMU again. So the road is still not easy. For BYU, they pretty much have all their tough games behind them. They have really easy games. The big one, they won at Boise State on Friday. But after that, home against North Alabama and then home against San Diego State. They are 8-0 and could quite easily go undefeated. So BYU just needs some other things to happen to get into the playoffs. And they just need Cincinnati to lose to get that New Year's Six bowl bid. And then an unexpected contender. Number 15, Coastal Carolina out of the Sun Belt. Today they play South Alabama. After that, a road game against Troy. Home against App State. That'll be a big game. at Texas State, and then the last game of the year, home against number 25, Liberty. And they would probably have to play Liberty again in the Sun Belt Championship. So Coastal Carolina still has a little ways to go, but they look like a good team. Conference USA contender Marshall, number 16. They're also undefeated at 5-0. Today they play UMass. That's a win. They'll be 6-0. Then they get a home game against Middle Tennessee, home against Charlotte. Charlotte's pretty decent. Home against Rice, and then at FIU. And then they would have to play in the Conference USA Championship game. So Marshall could win out. So it would all depend on the teams above them whether they can get that New Year's Six bowl bid or not. Next team, the only team with one loss, SMU. They're also in the AAC, and their only loss was to Cincinnati, but they got dominated. Today, they got a win at Temple, 47-23. Next up, a road game against Tulsa, home against Houston, and then at East Carolina. And then they'll probably have to play Cincinnati again in the AAC championship game. So they could knock Cincinnati out of the playoff race and steal their New Year's Six bowl bid. That's a very important game, the AAC championship game this year. Then the last team, big surprise, Hugh Freeze down at number 25, Liberty. Today, a big win at Virginia Tech, 38-35. Crazy game. But their resume is actually going to look really, really good. If they were ranked much higher like Cincinnati, they would have an outside chance to get to the playoffs. They're just ranked too low. Rest of their games, home against Western Carolina, at NC State, home against UMass, and then at Coastal Carolina. And then they would probably play in the Sun Belt Championship game against Coastal Carolina again. At the end of this year, a lot of these teams could have great looking resumes. So the big question is, who is going to finish the highest as the champion of their non-Power 5 conference? The money's on Cincinnati, but if things happen for Cincinnati to get to the playoffs, then it's the next team, which could be BYU. But then again, Coastal Carolina or Liberty could jump them. A lot of things could happen. This is a tight race for that coveted New Year's Six bowl bid for the Group of 5 conference champions. That's all I got for you for this show. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you on my next show.